Hey, good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are on Treaty One territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Bill Moretsky. I will be chairing the meeting this morning. The panel members are joining via Zoom are Robert Kraus and Lynn Nesbitt. Our administrative person today is Francisca Picotto, and our assessor is Arca Darkanoff. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on City of Winnipeg's Border Vision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 3, 8, and 11 to 15 on our docket today. Ms. Picotto, please affirm. We have one. The applicant is first applicant is not here, so we will push item 3 till the end. So Ms. Picotto, please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony, and we will start with item number 8.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Arca Darkanoff.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
So are there any preliminary issues from either party before we begin?
Yes, there would be for certain items on the docket. Applicant would be seeking confirmation on item number 8, 13, 12. And I believe so that is those are the ones that where he is seeking confirmation.
There's
Is that
three.
this 3, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 8,
12,
numbers
13?
8, 12, and 13. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right then, Mr. A. Darkinoff, you may begin with item 8 with your presentation.
Okay, so subject property is located at okay. Okay, I'll start with the roll number. Okay, subject property roll number 01004 74700. This property has an address. It's 6515 Wilkes Avenue. It's a agricultural zone, the 163,741 square foot lot, affected by heavy traffic, no city water and rail line. And the assessed value for this property at this time is $96,000 as a vacant agricultural. It does appear that subject property is improved with a cell tower, which has not been added to the record yet at this time. The comparables you can see on page number 2, and I asked the panel to confirm the assessed value of 96,000. Thanks.
Is your presentation complete?
Yes. May I ask you, is there a lag in my communication? That it does seem appear to be that way.
Yes, a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Applicant, do you have any questions for the assessor?
I have no questions and I am asking for confirmation of this.
Lynn, any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Robert, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
And I have no questions. Mr. Applicant, you wish to confirm then?
Yes.
Okay. And there are no questions from anybody on that, for the applicant? Okay. Then we can move on to item number 11. File number 241903.
Okay.
No civic address.
Okay. So file number 241903, roll number 0306 2505000. Subject property is located in Waverly B neighborhood. It's a vacant agricultural land. Lot size is 6.03 acres or 262,748 square feet. So land influences no sewer, no water, and it's an unimproved street. Assessed value is 2025 assessed value is $894,000, which comes out to be $148,212 per acre or $3.40 per square foot. Okay, subject property is located west of Waverly and near with a Keniston on the west side of it, and it's part of the still kind of a site that is currently part of the area that is currently going through development of subdivisions. Subject property is not currently developing as a subdivision at this point. However, it does appear to be part of the future subdivision. It's two parcels, as you can see on the picture, with Medina Avenue, proposed Medina Avenue going in between them. So it's 6 acres. Basically, each parcel is give or take 3 acre each. So when we look at the comparable on page number 2 of my docket, all of my comparables are in the same neighborhood. They're in NCA 681, which is Waverly West B. My comparables average, when you look at the yellow column, which is just sale price, $3.37 per square foot, and with a median of $3.33 per square foot. Or when you look at time adjusted sale price, the price is $4.10 average and per square foot, and $3.84 median per square foot. There is a mix of different sizes involved. So in my comparables, so there's 3 acre parcels, which comparable comparable number one is listed twice, once as a half an acre parcel and second time as a 3.5 acre parcel, just because it has been purchased once in August, replatted and resold once again in December of 2016. So as you can see, the median price is the price it sold for was $239 with time adjusted price of $3.10 and $3.51. What else? Yeah, so my comparables do appear to support the assessed value. Ask the panel to confirm it. And last page, you can see the map where you can see the proximity of all the comparables to subject property. And just to work myself ahead a little bit, it would be the same comparables for the remaining of the docket as well. Remaining of the docket without us, that is. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Navarro, any questions for the assessor?
I do have some questions, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, the comparisons that you have here, did you look into any of the purchase history of any of these properties? Who purchased them?
Oh, no, I did not.
Okay. The subject that you have here is 3.4 is $3.40 per square foot for 6.03 acres, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And the comparisons that you're showing here in your chart on page 3 of your presentation, which do you feel are the best comparisons?
Well, let's see. Well, we can look at comparable number 9. They're all pretty good. Like the location wise, like some of the better ones probably would be comparable 2 and 9 because they're on the same, basically same future site development, street and so on.
Okay. So basically, they're all good.
Yeah, they're all within the same proximity, and however it's going to be replatted in the future. Like
Okay.
that's basically, yeah.
So you mentioned that, for example, Lee Boulevard, I think you have it as number 1 as well. And you mentioned that it was replotted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Chair, I will have some rebuttal to this, so I don't know when you want that presented. But for now, actually, I still have a couple more questions. Okay. Mr. Assessor, the sale number 9, which is, you can see that roll number 0362514 000. Now that
Yes.
property sold in July of 2021. It sold for $8.44. It is so high above all of the others. Did you look into this one?
I did not review it altogether. Like it was
Okay.
just came up as part of my comparable sales search.
Okay, but just seeing that, it does look like a bit of an outlier, does it not?
Um, yeah, perhaps it does, yes, but yeah.
Okay.
So where is that number 9 anyway? Okay, so that's yeah, it's on the yeah. No, it is a bit like higher than all of the other averages. I agree
Okay.
with you. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Now, comparable number 12 is also a curious one. This is 24.93 acres. Did you do any research on this one?
Hmm. When you say research, like
Okay, so I'm just gonna say that, what I found strange about this is that if you look at comparison number 1, which is the one that we were just talking about, the Lee Boulevard, that's $152,662. That's sold in December 2016 for $2.90, $2.39 per square foot, according to your chart. So then
okay.
why is a property that is substantially larger and sold 2 years before selling for more per square foot? Based on this
You know,
concept of economies of scale, this one technically should be lower, should it not?
well, again, location. Like yes, if you say like economies of scale, how does economies of scale work, right? Like
Are they not in the same
all else,
location?
well, they are on the same location, but certain items are like is number 12 part of the replat and it's being subdivided today.
Okay,
Like, or is it sooner to be subdivided? All of those things play a role in it, right? So.
okay,
Like
those are
those
my
are the
questions.
sales. Those are the sales. That's basically
Yeah,
what people paid for them. Like to go into details and say why it's sold 10 year 2 years prior for or higher dollar amount value. Maybe it had a like overall it's not a strange situation in my opinion because all of those parcels are being uh held for future subdivision. There is value in that, and certain things do play like location, size. Yes, you can do a lot more with a larger size in a subdivision versus what you can do with a smaller one. With a smaller one, yes, you have to then go out and venture out and buy other parcels to do your assemblage and to do what you want to do, right? So all
okay,
of those things. So that's basically like I think that's a logical explanation to your question.
okay. So that leads me to my next question because you just mentioned it. What is the zoning on this property?
As current zoning or at the time of sale? At the time of sale, they were all vacant agricultural.
Vacant agricultural, okay. And today, what is the zoning
On which property?
on number 12, sale number 12?
Well, let me take a look at it. It may still be agricultural or well, The assessment records is working on a replat for this particular property, so there is various zoning, like zoning did change on this property. There is a development going on sale number 12.
Okay, you.
Was that the case with that property back in 2014? No. Back in 2014, when sale number 12 took place, it was vacant agricultural.
Okay. I just reviewed the zoning on it. I believe I found agricultural zoning on it. Is that incorrect?
Okay. Well, when I look at the iView map, yes, zone, it doesn't look like everything has been updated for this particular parcel. As I said, replat is still in process. When I look at the map, I see various zoning represented on it. There is street going on, and there would be some residential zoning and
Has the replot occurred,
multifamily.
Has the replot occurred?
Replat took place August 30, 2024. It started and it is in the process of being replatted. So about 10 days ago.
Okay.
So yeah, it hasn't been, not everything has been updated as far as property record goes on this particular one.
So then you're saying that this is going to be, then the use is going to change very quickly.
Yes, it is going to be replatted, and there will be other, I guess, more roll numbers coming out of it, and different zoning and different allocated to different roll numbers, right?
Okay, how long does the replot process take? And during that time, will the zoning change?
I guess again, like I'm not sure like how long it's gonna take. I do not know that, and I guess how relevant is it to your to overall I guess assessed value, or what is the most reasonable sale price on April 1st, 2023 for the subject property? Like that's where I'm trying to see where you're going with all of that. Like yeah, we're talking about zoning and comparable number 12, like. But how relevant would that, like, where are you going with that, basically?
Okay, well, we'll see. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, so for your rebuttal, we'll wait until after your presentation, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kraus, do you have any questions for the assessor?
I do not. Thank you.
Samantha, any questions for the assessor?
Yeah, I do. So there was a lot of discussion about replot. Can you please describe for the panel what that means in terms of this big parcel? Does that mean it's going to be subdivided into smaller parcels, each with their own assessment role, like breaking it up into smaller pieces?
Now, are you asking about subject property, or are you asking
I'm
about?
actually asking just a general question. I mean, we had a lot of discussion about index 12, so if you could just, yeah.
So, well, basically, index 12, to my knowledge, again, like replat means a change in the way roll number is assigned to a particular lot size. So, replat could include a split where land is split into smaller parcels. Replat could also indicate a merge where two or more roll numbers are merged into one.
Okay. Okay, thank you for explaining that. With respect to comparable number 9, it is definitely an outlier. I noticed that too. If we were to remove that, or did you take a look at removing that and see what that did to your sale average and median sale prices? You might not have had
No,
time to do
I
that.
did not. I did not
Okay.
engage into that calculation. Actually, I did. I didn't notice it until Marcelo pointed out. So
Okay,
it is an outlier, and
okay,
but yeah, it is an outlier, but outside all of the other ones that go around $3 some per square foot.
okay. And with respect to the square feet, is that just the number that's been on the roll for a long time? Has that changed over time? I asked because, and I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, it's a different number from the applicant. So I just want to know where you got your number from, the 262,748.
Okay, so basically how it is if you take acreage of it's a mess. And how it works, it's like square footage that I have 262,748 is the square footage we have on our on our information for the same property. And what happens is the rounding when it goes rounded to acreage. So if you take 262,748 and divided by 43,560, you get 6.3 acres. But when you take 6.3 acres and multiply it by 43,560, you get slightly different number, which is in my calculator right now 262,666, 6.8. So it's all about rounding. Like the information I have there is actually unrounded square footage, which was calculated to rounded 6.03 acres.
Okay. Okay. So if we have two rounded numbers, which rounded number do we take?
Well, I say like if you take my square footage, which is 262,748, would be most accurate square footage because that's what we have on record for it. And then when further calculation takes place and it allocates a number of 6.03 acres to it, it's a 6.03 would be a rounded number.
Okay.
And when somebody else takes our 6.03 acres rounded and multiplies it to become a square footage, that's where the all different numbers
Okay. Okay.
come to be.
All right. Thank you. I have no additional questions.
All right.
So on your comparisons here on the page 3. Or sorry, the map, I'm looking at the map, the next page. So all those comparisons that are shown there with the arrows, are those buildings that are on, is that just plots of land or?
Well, those are all vacant land. There is no buildings on them. And they're representing the 12 comparables I showed you on page number 2, right?
So even this comparison 5 there showing. You know,
5.
not, I mean, a square into a, sorry, a rectangle into a rectangle. That's just,
Yeah.
it's a land still.
Some of
That's
them
land,
used to
vacant land?
be, yeah, right now it is. Yeah, some of them, like I don't, like actually, let's put it this way. Right now, they're all vacant lands. Some of them may have had buildings in the past, but as part of the replats and so on, some of the buildings were removed for future developments. So yeah, so some of those lots have, as I said, like comparable number 1, for example, have been half an acre at one point, and it got merged with another parcel, became 3.5 acres. So yeah, like if you look at some mapping, it may be confusing that at some point there may have been an older building there, but at this time they are vacant lands. They were sold as as a vacant land. Okay. Yeah, actually to answer some of your questions again, like if you still have question about number 12, like if you look at my map there, like you can actually see future parcels to be replatted over there.
So anybody purchasing these this vacant land. The reference date. They buy it on the basis that it's just vacant land, or would they be speculating in the future that it's going to be developed?
It's all of this is to my I would assume that I would say that they are what you call speculating that speculating I would like in this particular way, yeah, probably not the best, not quite the most accurate word to describe it, but yes, anybody who is buying it, they are buying it for future development. Yeah.
I have no further questions, so Mr. Navarro, you can begin your presentation.
For sure, thank you. So this is file number 24-1903. And roll number 0306250500. On page 2, you can see my summary. I'd ask you to flip to page 6. You can see the overhead pictures. And page 7, you will find, or page 8, you will find the argument of highest and best use here. So generally, we put a definition in here as to what the highest and best use is. Currently, this property is agriculturally zoned. So its highest and best use is effectively restricted until that change actually occurs. Now, that change is a legal change. So I know that Mr. The assessor noted that there is a replot in underway. Now that replot, one, it finally does go through, will initiate a supplementary tax assessment. Okay, so at that point, it will either become another roll number, a larger parcel, something else. It's a physical change. Any type of legal change in zoning or use warrants some type of supplementary assessment that we look at as a legal use change. Now, if you look at the points in terms of the highest and best use, you can see several points here. In order to determine the highest and best use, the following considerations must be made. It must be a legal use, permitted use under local administrative regulations, such as zoning. So while the assessor is indicating that a replot may actually happen in the near future, we don't know the timelines. Until that change actually comes through, the point is effectively moot. This is still an agricultural land parcel, it's still zoned that way. I'm sorry, Mr. Assessor, but you have your opportunity to ask questions when I'm done. In terms of the agricultural uses, generally the principal use table for agriculturally zoned properties is quite restrictive. It allows for very little in terms of other uses. There are some very low density residential. These would be more residential, rural. And of course, there are the agricultural uses and some institutional uses that are allowed. As land approaches any type of urban center, it's increasing in value, no matter where it is. For example, we can look at agricultural lands that are within the boundaries of the perimeter highway that are in the RM of Rosser and the RM of McDonald. And they will also have higher values. And that's because they're approaching urban land areas. Or urban areas. The distinction here, I think, that we're trying to make is that there are not just the issue of highest and best use. We're valuing this property at its highest and best use, we believe. We know that values that approach urban areas increase regardless of the use. And as several people have already pointed out, they are buying them in terms of speculation down the road. What will they become? That's not the only argument here. The other argument here is that this area here is basically a large assemblage. And you have, for example, one major player that's basically assembling parcels here and there to make one large subdivision down the road. And that in itself increases the value of these lands. You're going to pay a premium anytime that you try and assemble these properties. And these properties may never achieve their highest and best use if you don't assemble them. That's another point. But the most important point that I would ask yourself is that in terms of highest and best use and the concept of assemblage is, would any of these parcels on their own sell for these types of prices if they weren't being assembled? And my opinion is that no, you wouldn't get that price if you weren't assembling them. You would get something probably lower than what they're being assessed at. The assemblage is really what causes the prices to go up in this particular area. Now, in terms of the approach that we're using, we're obviously going to be using the sales comparison approach. So on page 11, you can see our set of comparables. They come from some of the same areas, some different areas. On page 12, you can see index 1 through 3 are in Waverly West, but in different neighborhoods such as Bridgewater Lake and Waverly West B. Sales in index 1 through 3 are smaller parcels between 35,000 and 45,000 square feet. That's closer to 1 acre. Purchased farmland but not influenced by other properties. These appear to be fair reflection of market value for parcels going for agricultural zoning. Index 4 through 6 are in the Fort Garry, Lindenwood, same market region, but different neighborhoods. These parcels are mostly assembled by one developer, Qualico, under the name Southeast Lands Corp. Alone, these parcels would, in our opinion, not have achieved the same price, nor would they have achieved the highest and best use until assembled. So this concept of highest and best use and the concept of assemblage is an important one to look at. As we're talking about how properties achieve their highest and best use. And these properties would never achieve their highest and best use if they were not assembled. At this point, they're still agricultural parcels. But what I'm saying is that if these parcels had not sold as an assemblage or were not being purchased to assemble, would they have achieved the same value? It's kind of a hard concept to understand, but basically what we're saying is, no, if these parcels had sold on their own individually without the, the idea of the assemblage going on, they probably would not have sold for those prices. So we adjust the price of these parcels. You can see in our page 12 at the bottom where we're saying $2.50 per square foot, or 653,000 rounded. In the appendix there, you can see that the appraisal of real estate on page 16.5, okay, it talks about the very things that I've been speaking about, that often properties will not achieve their highest and best use unless they're assembled. If they're sold individually, they will sell for different prices. That concept is actually easier to understand in a denser area, but this is also applicable here. We don't believe that if these parcels had been sold in the marketplace individually, they would have achieved the same value. We have one particular player that's going in there and assembling these parcels together. So we're saying that the value is over inflated. And I'm open for questions.
Mr. Assessor, any questions for the applicant?
Yes. First of all, like I can probably form it in a form of a question, but I want to clarify one thing. During my presentation, there does appear to have been a bit of misunderstanding. We discussed replots, and I discussed replots for comparable number 12. I did not discuss replot for subject property. So to my knowledge, subject property does not have a replot going at the current time. I just want to clarify that. All right. Then questions would be, so Mr. Navarro, on your 12 comparables that you presented, so you have only comparable, which comparables are in the neighborhoods of within vicinity of subject property?
The neighborhoods would be the ones that are in Waverly West B,
Okay, so comparables 5 and 6, is that correct?
3, 5, and 6.
Okay, okay, three as well. Okay. And any other comparables are like some of them are in Bridgewater Lakes. Do you know? Um, and also you have some properties, okay, I guess in Saint Norbert and Rosser. Do you know if any assemblage is going on those parcels? Like that are not in the Waverly West B neighborhood?
No, we were looking at the sales comparison only.
Okay, sounds good. The subject property in the neighborhood where assemblage is going on.
Sorry?
Is subject property located within the area where assemblage is going on? So there is an interested players who would pay premium for those parcels in order to assemble.
That is the point that we're trying to make, yes.
So there is assemblage going on.
There is an assemblage going on.
So whoever is buying those properties will be paying premium prices. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And the question was, would they have paid the prices for these parcels if there was not an assemblage going on?
But it's irrelevant. So because assemblage going on, like the question would they have been is irrelevant because assemblage is going on.
No, that is the basic crux of the question. That is why I posted that caption on assemblages in my
Yeah, well, I
these
understand that,
parcels,
but
these parcels are not going to achieve their highest and best use unless they're assembled. That is why they're paying a premium. If these parcels, the question again was, would these parcels have achieved the same value had they not been assembled?
it's irrelevant because it's in the
No,
area
it's not
where
irrelevant
assemblage is going on.
because the point is that this is still an agricultural zone parcel.
But the interest
I
is
see
there.
your point. I see your point. If this was a residential multifamily zone parcel or a commercial parcel or something else, this is still an agricultural zone parcel. And until it legally changes, we still have to
But,
view it as an agricultural parcel. And what I'm
Oh,
saying
but-
is that without that uh, motivation to assemble these parcels, they wouldn't have achieved their highest and best use. And you would have paid a different value in the marketplace had that assemblage been going on. So,
Okay.
and when you use sales that are used for assemblage purposes, that is what that article is saying, that you have to be very careful about using those types of sales, understanding that they're probably going to be inflated because of this concept of assemblage.
Well, so I guess let me put it this way then. So your variables 3, 5, and 6, which is probably what are the price per sale price per square foot on those comparables? Could you please tell me?
They are 356, 343, and 370.
You have another question, Mr. Darkinoff?
Yeah, there
Any
was a
more
major
questions?
lag. I did.
Yeah, there's a
There was a
flag.
major lag that on my end. Um, mm,
Was
so
there
I do
something you wanted to respond to?
well, I asked a question about I guess what was the sale price per square foot on comparable 3, 5, and 6, and then the communication like went bad, but I believe the applicant answered the question. Is that correct? And I just didn't hear it because of the communication
No,
issues,
I
I
don't
guess.
think we heard your question.
we didn't hear the question.
Nobody heard your question, I don't believe. Can you repeat your question? That you wanted to ask
Okay.
about those three comparisons, correct?
Yeah, so I asked about what was the sale price per square foot on comparable 3, 5, and 6, and I believe Marcelo began to answer that question.
No,
And
I
I believe,
hadn't. I hadn't. I can answer it now if you'd like.
sure.
Okay, so I gave you the square foot rate, correct?
Okay, so yeah, that's what I asked, right?
Yeah,
So you said
yeah.
356, 343, and 370, right?
So basically what I'm saying is that these properties are being purchased again for assemblage purposes. I know something about the background of these properties and it's included in my rebuttal.
Mm-hmm.
That'll detail some of the issues that I'm trying to make regarding the
Yeah.
assemblage.
No, I understand. And I guess like what is the assessed value per square foot of the subject property?
The subject property is assessed at $340 per square foot.
Okay. So, being the subject property is within the same location as the comparable 3, 5, and 6, and it's also within the same location as my 12 comparables, with where the price of $3 and give or take $3 and 40 cents is very reasonable. Wouldn't you agree that the market within the subject property area asks for that kind of money because of speculative values, because of the future assemblage potentials? That's where the sales are. Wouldn't you agree with me?
Well, I would say that the concept of marketplace and competition, I would say that, you're probably not looking at this the same way that I am. I don't think that there's very much competition going on here. I think you have one player that's assembling a lot of these parcels together. And they're paying a premium to actually assemble them. So if they were being assembled, and again, I go back to the concept of assemblage, if they were being assembled separately or being bought separately, I don't think that they would have achieved the same value because it's this drive to achieve a higher and best use in assembling these properties together that causes the inflation of the prices. And I'm not saying that the price is that far off. You're at $3.40, I'm at $2.50. I'm just saying that at that price, I know that these prices would be inflated because of the concept of assemblage, but they wouldn't be significantly lower at this size of the parcel, okay? I'm saying $2.50. I'm not saying 50 cents per square foot, okay? I'm just saying that there's that extra motivation behind these sales in assembling these properties together that wouldn't be present had they been bought separately.
No, I understand that, but anybody who owns that property today, knowing that the assemblage is going on, they would be asking for a premium price, wouldn't they? So if you and I own the property there, and
Well,
want
I
to,
think we get your points, both of you on this. I think we can move on.
Yeah.
Right?
okay, then I'm done with my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Nesbitt, do you have any questions for the applicant?
This is just a minor question. I note that you don't use time-adjusted sales, Mr. Navarro. You use actual sales. Does that make a difference in the price per square foot if you use time-adjusted?
Well, if we looked at time adjusted sales, we'd probably be looking, for example, at changes in uses. So if we were trying to find the increase for an agricultural parcel, we're not likely to find it from that parcel if it had changed use, and it wouldn't be, in my opinion, usable at that point because you're looking at a different use. Second point is that you can't really find paired sales very often. So the assessor has the one paired sale in his comparison, but those are two different, completely different parcels. So there's no comparison between the two, and you can't draw any information from or in terms of an increase from that, because you're looking at two different parcels effectively, even though they have the same roll number.
Okay, thank you. No additional questions.
Mr. Kraus?
I was just wondering, do you know the assessors, whether or not the assessors comparables, were they all purchased by Qualico and Southeast Land,
Yes,
or all of them,
not all of them, but most of them.
but not all of them?
No, there was the largest one was purchased by Pembina Trails School Division, the 24-acre one. And again, I tried to make that connection with sale number 2 because again, they were paying more per square foot for a substantially larger parcel. What that tells me is that Pembina Trails School Division had to go and purchase a parcel of land no matter what. And they paid a premium for it, and it's no doubt. I mean, they had to purchase 24 acres.
And oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was the point, is that I think had somebody just waited, they probably would have purchased it for less. The school division was motivated because they had to purchase a large parcel of land to commit for a school there in the future. So the options were, limited. So they would either have to expropriate land somewhere else or do this type of thing. But I don't view that one as market, because again, we look at some of the other parcel sales, and the one on number 2 is very telling, because again, you're paying more per square foot for a larger parcel than that sale number 2. And I don't know if you're familiar with this concept of economies of scale, but technically as the parcel size increases, it should be going down in price per square foot or price per acre, whichever metric you use. It should be going down as you're getting larger and larger. You shouldn't be going up, and this is doing the exact opposite. It's actually going up instead of down. In my opinion, a parcel of this size at that time probably should have sold for around $1 per square foot, not $2 and whatever they paid for it.
And I guess is there even an opportunity to purchase it without speculation? Like, I mean, you're saying you're arguing that we should take a look at it at its present value as agricultural land.
I think you actually have to look outside of this assemblage to really get an idea of what the value is. And I know that, we harp on this area, the best comparables are from the subject area. That can be said for a lot of properties, but land is a little bit more fluid. Land, whether it's in Northwest Winnipeg, Southwest Winnipeg, Northeast Winnipeg, or Southwest Winnipeg, you're going to pay similar values for agricultural land, and you're going to pay for similar values for agricultural land outside of the perimeter, inside of the perimeter, but in different municipalities. As you get closer and closer to the urban center, which is Winnipeg, that value shoots up for agricultural land, and that's because of the influence of speculation. But in terms of this particular property, you're going to pay the same amount to develop property in those other areas, those other quadrants of the city. So in my opinion, this is a particular situation with this area actually. is that it was essentially a large assemblage that was being put together by, you know, one or two players, and that's what drove the price up. Otherwise, we don't think it would have been as high.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I'm going to kind of re-ask a question that Lynn Ms. Bennett asked about the adjusted or not adjusted price per square foot. So if I can focus maybe on one that kind of stands out at me, number 6 was sold in 2016 September. Waverly West B. Heavy traffic. And you hired at 370 a square foot there.
Yeah.
So that's already 8 years ago though. So I'm gonna ask that question.
8
again.
years ago from today, but the reference
Or
date.
sorry, 7 years ago then, yeah.
Yeah, but what you have to remember is that the reference date is April 1, 2023, so it's 7 years from the
7
reference.
years, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there probably would be some appreciation in terms of the value, but again. What you're looking at specifically is who the purchaser was at the time, and were they motivated by assembling these properties. And I think if we're right about this concept of assemblage, then they probably would have paid less if this property had sold on its own, would have appreciated from that point going forward. Yes, I mean, so if we're looking at a value, say in the 250 range, then yeah, it would have increased in value somewhat going forward.
And there are some others that are 2017, 2018, so we're, you know, 4 or 5, 7 years sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I don't think I have any other questions, so now we're going to move to your rebuttal
Okay,
of the assessor.
right, okay,
Do you have a submission on that, Mr. Navarro?
yes,
Do we
Yeah.
have it? Do we have it yet?
Yeah, it's been emailed and,
Okay.
well, not emailed, it's been added to SharePoint.
Thank you. Just give me a minute.
does everyone have it?
I have it, you guys have it, yeah, members?
Okay, okay.
No, not yet. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
So,
I have
Mr.
it.
Chair, I'm gonna ask you if it's possible to basically apply this to the other two properties that we're gonna deal with, simply because it'll be the same presentation, same area, so we're gonna be talking about the same things. I mean, we don't
Yep.
need to,
If you can just reference it and just
Absolutely.
briefly summarize. it,
yes, I will do that.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so, I understand that, you know, a lot of the properties that we're dealing with here are in this area of, Lee Boulevard. And I noted that, most of the ones that we have under appeal are actually owned by the same owner, which is Southlands Land Corporation and, or Southeast Lands Corporation and Southlands Corporation. These are all under the umbrella of Qualico. And you can see it in the first page that comparisons 2, 7, 8, and 10, along with all of the other ones that we have under appeal, are all Southlands Land Corp. This is Qualico. So again, Qualico here is paying a premium in order to assemble these properties together and achieve their highest and best use. So I think, again, if these properties had sold individually, I'm not sure that they would have achieved those prices. Now, on the concept of comparison 2 of the assessor, this relates to the assessor's comparison to, he noted that this had replotted. It was replotted, but because it actually sold as 4 properties. And you can see the 4 properties that were included there for 365,000. That's Lee Boulevard, Albright Road, Formby Avenue, and Albright Road again. So again, this is what I'm trying to stress, is that these properties are being assembled together, and that's what's driving up the price. On the next few pages, we just have the ownership information regarding these. These are all, again, Southeast Lands Corp, Southeast Lands Corp, Southeast Lands Corp, Southeast Lands Corp. And the last page is what was included in the last page of the brief, which is possibility of assemblage. So I'll leave it at that. You can have a read at it.
Mr. Darkinoff, any questions for the applicant on the rebuttal?
Yes, page 1 of the rebuttal. So you have comparable number 2. When did that sold and what was the price per square foot?
It sold December 6, 2016 for $2.39 per square foot,
Okay, and what was the size of the parcel?
152,662 square feet, or 3.5 acres.
Okay, then we move on to comparable number 7. When was that sold and what was the price per square foot?
That was 343. That was in December 19th. That was 343 per square foot, and it's 7.02 acres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you can see that the price per square foot definitely goes up, right, as the time goes on. So like the newer sale in 2020 sold for higher price per square foot than the lower sale. That's the older sale.
Yeah, so you can look at Form B, for example, which is number 8, sold for 345, and that's probably a more appropriate comparison because it's similar in size. So if we look at the economies of scale, that's probably more aligned with it. The 7.02 acres, it doesn't really make sense. So it seems like they paid more for that one based on it, because they sold in similar timeframes. So comparison number 8 and 10 sold at very similar times, but yet, you know, almost for the same price per square foot. So I don't know, is the question, are they paying too little for comparison number 8,
No,
or are they paying too much for,
I
are they
think
paying too much
I
for comparison number 10?
I think my next question will probably answer that. So, do you agree that no matter what size of the lot you look at, no matter what time frame you are looking at, well, obviously the newer sales, the newer they get, they sell for higher prices. There is an increase in price as the time goes on. However, if we look at sales 7, 8, and 10. What I see there, and maybe would you agree with me that regardless of the size, and it's all within the same time frame, within 1 year of each other, the price was like around $3.45 per square foot. And in this particular case, Marcelo, wouldn't you agree that, would you say that this kind of anomalies because of the assemblage, and that's what generates the prices in the area, and that's what the price in the area basically is.
So basically, I mean, the concept of assemblage is that, you know, you should be wary of sales that are used for assemblage purposes, for this idea that they're not really representative of the market. They're trying to achieve a higher and best use. So when we're looking at these from the standpoint of agricultural land, and keeping in mind that we have said that agricultural land inside the perimeter and approaching urban areas will be higher, but will they be that high if not for the assemblage? And that's what we're trying to get through, is that no, the assemblage is causing inflation of these prices, and we shouldn't be using those sales as indicative of market value, because you just highlighted the point that we wanted to make, is that why would they be paying the same prices for different sizes of parcels that's just not seen in the marketplace. Generally, the marketplace says that, a smaller piece of land you will pay more for than a larger piece of land. But if you're saying that they're just gonna pay this for any land in there, then that's not market. That's something else.
Okay, now I guess my next question would be going back to subject property. Like a lot of comparables that you were used, some of them are like that you use, Marcelo. Like only 3 of them are within the Waverly USB, within the same proximity to subject properties or the areas we're going to be discussing. A lot of them, most other ones are in the outskirts of the city, outside the perimeter, in the different parts of the city, so they are not very relevant. Would you agree?
No, I think I explained already that if you're a land developer, you're gonna pay the same amount to develop these lands. Whether you're in Sage Creek or Bridgewater or, Northwest Winnipeg. Because construction costs are very similar. Cost to put in services, to put in roads, that's gonna cost you the same amount, regardless of where you are in the city. The purpose of using some of those other sales is because they're not necessarily being influenced by assemblage.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly my point. They're not
Yeah.
influenced by assemblage because they are not within the area where assemblage takes place. Subject property within the area where assemblage takes place. Let me put it this
So
way.
your idea then is that assemblage is just market value, and that just goes against the appraisal literature.
No,
That I believe is-
my question, Marcelo, would be: is subject property within the area where assemblage takes place?
Is the property within the area of where the assemblage is taking place? Of course, it's the same people buying the same properties.
So then the price per $3.40 per square foot of assessed value should be accurate. Is that correct?
Okay. I think you're going outside the scope of the rebuttal now, Mr. Agarkanoff, so if you don't have any other questions.
It's we're discussing price per square foot, and it was all.
Let's try to focus on the rebuttal that he's provided.
Okay,
Okay.
fair enough.
Any other questions then on this rebuttal?
Okay. Well, I guess one more question. Like, so within the rebuttal, you used your comparables, which are 2, 7, 8, 10, and let's put it. I'll phrase my question within that frame. That is subject property within the same area and within the same assemblage package as your comparables in your rebuttal.
What's the question?
So is subject property within the same area as the comparables in your rebuttal?
Most of the appeals are within that area.
Okay, thanks. I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gross, any questions for Mr. Navarro on the rebuttal?
Yeah, just based on the text that was submitted within the rebuttal, I'm just wondering, is there a reasonable probability that this property will be purchased for an assemblage purchase?
The subject?
Yeah, the subject is there a reasonable probability that your property, or that this property that we're listening to, will be purchased for assemblage purposes?
Well, I think it was purchased for an assemblage.
Your property, like I'm talking about with like you still,
The
I think
subject
future
property.
sales. Yes,
Oh, for future
not
sales.
the comparables. Yeah.
No, the subject was also purchased for assemblage. Oh, sorry. It was purchased at some point, but we didn't find the sale itself. And so that.
No, I'm looking at the land value of the property that we're talking about right now. Is there a reasonable probability that in the future it will be sold for assemblage purposes?
No, I think if it sells in the future, it will sell for as a completely, like as a subdivision.
Thank you.
Like it won't sell as an assemblage. It's already been assembled. So the next step is subdivision. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm just wondering, because you're saying that all of these comparables have been purchased by Qualico or
The ones that I listed there.
Southeast
in my
Land. So if
relevant-
Southeast, is there possible that Southeast Land purchases this particular parcel in the future to gobble it up, to become
I think
part
they
of?
already own it.
Okay.
Like they own the subject. So all of these properties that we've appealed in this area, and there are several, are owned by Southeast Lands.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
Any further questions, Mr. Bruce?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I have no questions as well. So, assessor, wish to summarize?
Yeah, I'll just say that the subject property is well located within the area where assemblage takes place. Applicant did mention that it is already owned by Southeast Land Corporation. However, what we have to answer is what is the most reasonable sale price of subject property on April 1st, 2023? And the question is $894,000 reasonable price if somebody was to buy it for assemblage for any purposes? And most reasonable use of the purchase of this property will be not as agricultural, but as an assemblage, because it is located in the area where assemblage takes place. So whoever would have been buying it hypothetically, this property on April 1st, 2023, would not be buying it for farming. They will be buying it for future development, replots, assemblage or not. And so the question is, would somebody pay $894,000 for it or $3.40 per square foot? When we look at comparables and what has been going on in the area, and the applicant agreed that prices are higher in this agricultural zone area because of assemblage potentials, and other agricultural lands where actually agricultural takes place, and reasonable replots or subdivision within near future is not foreseeable. Those are lower priced agricultural lands, and nobody is arguing with that. Applicant did not, I did not. But we're going back to Waverly West B area, prime location, future some developments is basically taking place. And so the question is the assessed value correct? Addressing it at $3.40 per square foot. I believe it is because of the action in the area, what has been purchased, and $3.40 per square foot is well supported. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Navarro, any summation?
I'll just surmise quickly that the assessor has, mentioned itself that these are being purchased for assemblage purposes, which is the point that I'm trying to make. So I will just read from the text, and this is coming from page 16.5 of the appraisal of real estate, 3rd edition, land and site valuation. Certain parcels can achieve their highest and best use only as part of an assemblage. In such a case, the appraiser must determine the feasibility and probability of assembly or base the highest and best use determination and other appraisal decisions on the assumption that an assembly would be made. For example, a large petrochemical plant may be constructed on a site that has been created by assembling several smaller tracts. The individual tracts may not have had the potential for such a large-scale industrial use separately, and therefore may have had much lower unit values for alternative uses. This is what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this concludes the matter for this item number 11. So does anybody need break? 5
Yes,
minutes?
please. Yep, I'll take
5
one.
minutes?
Mhm.
Okay, we are ready to resume. We will now proceed to item number 12 on the docket. The Boulevard, which was already addressed in preliminary, is going to be an accepting of a confirmation. So, Mr. Assessor, can you read into the role of your presentation?
So file number 241869, roll number 0306 2327100. Yes, for street address it says just Lee Boulevard. It's 7.2 acres or 305,681 square feet. No sewer, no water, parcel of land. Assessed 2025 assessment roll is $999,000, and I asked the panel to confirm it. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Navarro?
I have, actually, I do have a question. This is a replot, right? This one actually has been executed, correct, Mr. Assessor?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, Ms. Nesbitt, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Kraus, any questions?
No questions, thanks.
And I have no questions. Mr. Navarro, you accept?
yes, we're asking
Confirmation?
for confirmation,
Okay.
yeah.
Any questions from anybody? Then we can conclude that one. And move to item number 13. File 24-1910. Also accepting confirmation. Mr. Assessor, can you read it into the record, please?
Yeah, so file number 241910, roll number 0309 1623 600. It's 11.64 acres parcel of land, assessed value $1,630,000, and I ask the panel to confirm it.
Any questions, Mr. Navarro?
Same thing, this is a replot that's been executed, so there will be a supplementary assessment issue.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Mr. Kraus?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Mr. Navarro, you are accepting confirmation, correct?
correct.
Okay. We'd like to conclude item number 13. And we will then move to item 14, file 24-1917. Mr. Assessor, if you can begin your presentation, please.
Okay, so let's see. File number 241917, roll number 0309 29866365. Parcel located in Waverly West B neighborhood, or we have a number code for it is 681. Zone in agricultural, it's 24.59 acres or 1,071,341 square foot lot size, and it's no sewer, no water. 2025 assessment is $2,515,000. This comes out to be 102,258,000 per per acre, or $2.35 per square foot. So for the 12 comparables, you can see there on page number 2. They are the same comparables as have been discussed on item number 11. And as it was pointed out, comparable number 9 is a bit of an outliner at $8.44 per square foot. So last page is I guess a map of the subject property. So subject property again is a parcel of land that is split between with the I believe it is still a Medina Road there. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's still Medina Avenue that is split into two parcels. Uh, and it is also as have mentioned, same deal as previously, where it is part of the developing area where things are going to be subdivided in the future, and this particular parcel from the shape of it appears to have been already designed for that kind of subdivision, or perhaps it will be it will have another replat in the future where more changes to the shape of this parcel will be taking place. However, based on the comparables, it's a 24-acre lot, and we do have, like, as I have mentioned, there is a 24-acre sale that was mentioned before for the school at $2,675,000 back in 2014. And so with that, I believe that the sales do support the assessed value, and I ask the panel to confirm it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Navarro, any questions for the assessor?
Do you have any other large sales, Arca?
No, the sales that we do have, those are the ones that I have presented.
Okay. And as we stated in the previous case, we stated that this was a property purchased by the Pembina Trail School Division, correct?
Oh, that's what you've stated, yes.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Any questions, Ms. Nesbitt?
I have no questions, thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Kraus?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. So we can now move to your presentation, Mr. Navarro.
This is Southeast Land Corp. And file number 24/1917. On page 2, you can see the assessment summary. We can just go to the location on page 6 and 7. Same area. I'll just ask Mr. Chair that we use the evidence that we used in the previous examples in terms of the rebuttal and not have to repeat that again.
Okay, is there just a brief 1 or 2 sentence?
Yeah,
Give on that.
sure. So the rebuttal actually points out the issue of points to the issue of who's assembling this area, which is Southeast Lands Corp, a division of Qualco, and their drive to assemble the property, the area is what's driving up the prices. So we believe that had these properties sold individually and not for the purpose of assemblage, they probably would have sold for less. And that's what we're trying to find out is what would the likely selling price of this property had sold for its particular legal use based on the highest and best use definitions and the process on page 8. In terms of where we're at, we looked at that sale that we analyzed in the assessor's brief on, I believe it's number 12, 396 Catper Road. And that one was purchased by the Pembina Trail School Division. We believe that at the time, had it sold to anyone other than Pembina Trails, it probably would have sold for about $1 per square foot. Now that's about $43,000 per acre, which is much higher than land. Farmland is assessed at. So again, it would have been higher than farmland, but we don't think it would have been as high as they would have paid for it, simply because we can see other sales in that grouping that justify, lower values because of the size difference. So on page number 11, you can see our sales comparison. We're using some of the same sales, so we don't really need to go over it. We're just adjusting the sale price. We've adjusted it to $1.75 per square foot. That is, again, we're saying that in 2014, it likely would have sold for about $1 had it sold to anyone else, but we believe that $1.75 is probably appropriate for this type of parcel. Again, this is 24 acres. It hasn't been subdivided. I don't think there's any applications on it, and I believe it's still owned by Pembina Trails, if I'm not mistaken. So the value that we're seeking is $1,875,000. Thank you.
Mr. Darkinoff, any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, we're just going back to that I guess larger parcel sale. So you believe it would have sold for a different dollar amount had it not been the school?
I think the school was the school division was motivated to purchase a large tract of land at whatever price it needed to pay. And that may not have been reflective of market at the time.
Okay. And when you look at comparable 6 of your report, what size of the parcel is that?
Comparison number 6.
Yes, of your report.
Okay. Okay, it's 8.38 acres, so 8.4 acres.
Okay.
And 364,870 square feet.
Yep. So it
So-
is roughly 3 times smaller than comparable number 12, that's school size, right? It's 3 times smaller.
Yeah, it's considerably smaller.
And that was what was the purchase price of that particular lot size, that particular parcel?
$3.70 per square foot.
No, what was the purchase price, the dollar amount?
For number 6,
Yes.
oh, 1,350,000.
So you don't think that a parcel of land that is 3 times the size would have sold for, according to you, would have sold for more, or like according to your argument, it would have sold for less?
Now, for my argument, it would have sold for about 1.8 million, which is more than that parcel. But on a per square foot basis, it would have been less.
But regardless, the price is there. That's all. Would you agree? $3.70 per square foot. That's the price, right?
It's not, yeah, it's not comparable in terms of size, but yeah, that's the
Yeah.
size it sold for.
Yep.
Sorry, that's the price per square foot and the price that it sold for.
Mm-hmm.
But again, not the same size.
Not the
parcel.
same, not the same size, yeah. But I mean, like the school size is still 3 times larger than the 8 acre parcel. That's all I had. Thank you very much. So I'm done with the questions.
Okay, Mr. Kraus, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. No, you already addressed the rebuttal, correct? So, summary, Mr. Assessor?
Yeah, just to summarize, subject property again is part of the is located within the area where development is taking place, so it's highly likely that it will be the subject property will be redeveloped in the near future with potential replots coming in, but it's all in the future. But regardless, sales in the area support the assessment. So we have average of actual sale prices around $3 per square foot, and we have time adjusted prices at much higher, closer to $4 per square foot. So $2.35 per square foot for subject property is supported. It is also supported by the school by the purchase of the comparable number 12, whether it was a school or not, it doesn't matter. It is a sale, it's a legal sale that took place, and it is supported according to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, any summary?
Basically the same argument that I applied to the previous one. This is an assembly. It was motivated in terms of assembling all of these properties together. And it inflated the prices of these lands. So that's my point.
So this concludes item 14 then. And we will move to item number 15, file number 1914. Mr. Assessor, you may begin your presentation.
Okay, so file number 241914. Roll number 0309 2986360. Property is again located in the same area as before. It's Waverly West B. Neighborhood area code is 681. The current zoning is agricultural. It's a 44.36 acres lot size, or in square foot it will be 1,932,205 square feet. Okay, for land influences, it says external corner, no sewer, no water. What else? Assessment, 2025 assessment is $3,955,000 or $2.05 per square foot. There is also price per acre, $89,162 per acre. Subject property is by far larger than any of the comparables. However, the price per square foot seems to reflect that. And as mentioned before, comparable number, was it 9? Yeah, comparable number 9 is a bit of an outlier there. And other than that, the value is supported by sales. And the next page, because sales are like $3.3 per square foot on the actual sales numbers, and closer to $4 on the time adjusted sale price. And then, yeah, we have the map of the subject parcel. So subject property is actually consists of 3 separated parcels, and that's where the external corner comes in. It has a small parcel on the about in Keniston. It also has parcels on D Boulevard and Medina, and with that, I believe the value is supported, and I ask the panel to confirm the assessment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Any questions for the assessor?
Yeah, Mr. Assessor, do you have any comparisons? You don't, you couldn't find any comparisons that are close to the size of this property?
No, the size of the comparables that I do have are the ones you see, and the closest ones would be the comparable number 12 at 24.93 acres, and then going down to 8 and 7. So yeah, subject property is a larger property. However, it is split into smaller, non-continuous. It actually consists of 3 different parcels. Thank you very much.
Okay, and the model is adjusting the value per square foot on this property to give us a lower per square foot value, but it adjusted it from the previous one, which was only 24 acres by 30 cents per acre. Do you think that?
Yeah, all I can speak right now is the actual prices. What we see is $2.05 per square foot. What kind of adjustment the model took place is outside my scope. I wouldn't know.
Okay. And the model, yeah, I won't ask about the model. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Kraus, any questions for the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt, any questions for the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Just again, Mr. Assessor, the model adjusted for the large size of the lot, correct?
It appears that way. I wouldn't speak to the model. I wouldn't know exactly the script that was run there, so I'm not the one to speak to the model. But it is at $2 per square foot, $2.05 per square foot, which is the lowest one we've seen so far, right?
All right. right, I have no further questions, so then we can move to the applicant's presentation, please.
Okay, again, this is Southeast Lands Corp. And this is file 24/1914. And it is 44.4 acres. The square footage, I believe the assessor has the exact square footage on there. That is sorry, 1,932,205 square feet. So this is approaching 2 million square feet. And on page 3, intended use, you can read some of that yourself, highest and best use section. The locations on page 6 and 7. In terms of the sales, it's the same comparisons. So one of the reasons that we included these larger sales is that there's not many of them occurring. Especially for agricultural lands, because frankly, what's left of agricultural lands in the city is very small at this point. I think most of the agricultural lands that are inside the perimeter highway are actually in the RM of McDonald and the RM of Rosser. But otherwise, for the city of Winnipeg, most of the agricultural lands have been sold at this point, and there's really not much left around. But I did include some of these larger parcel sales. They are in a different area, but they highlight the point that I'm trying to make, is that as these lands get larger and larger for agricultural lands, their price just drops. And these lands are by Pipeline Road, McPhillips. This is a new hotbed of development for what they call it, North Maples now. There's a lot of residential development going on, and these are the lands that actually sold in prior years. But again, they highlight the point that I'm trying to make, is that when the lands get this large, they start approaching that 2 million square foot mark, they're close to $1 per square foot. They're not at $2 per square foot. And we've said that in terms of our conclusion on value, we've said that this would probably be around $1.25 per square foot. We've put it at 2,418,000 rounded. In our opinion, the assessment model in this case is overstated the value and hasn't compensated enough for the size of this parcel. So we're asking the board to reduce the value. I'm open for questions.
Mr. Assessor,
Okay.
any questions for the applicant?
Yeah. No, like I guess a lot of questions have been asked. There would be similar, so I wouldn't be asking them, but I'll just have one more question. Well, again, like going back to location of subject property. Subject property is surrounded by the developed areas. Is that correct? So you have to the west, to the east, and to the north,
everything
everything is
around it
developed.
is pretty much developed. Yeah.
Yes. Whereas comparables, they are in the areas where it's all farmland, and there is maybe some
No, that's
development
not
on
necessary.
one side of the somewhere, but most of the like it still has basically horizon to one side of it, like to the back of it. You'll see a horizon basically.
Okay, so is that a statement or a question?
That's a question. Is that the case?
No, I would say that most of the lands in Winnipeg that are agricultural are right up to development. And the reason for that is that there's not much agricultural land left in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So if you look at Ridgewood West, only the areas on south of Wilkes Avenue, those are pretty much that's what's left, I think.
Yeah, no, there is very limited, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're looking at the ones that I use there, the the sales that are in the northwest quadrant. Development has started to creep up there too, and those areas have been built up along Pipeline Road. In fact, they've even built schools in there already.
Yeah,
So
but like subject property is still much closer to the to be redeveloped because of the density with where subject property is located. Would you agree with me?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think the other areas are just as close. And again, their proximity to development shows that they're next on the block when it comes to, you know, future subdivisions. But what I'm getting at is that your model, and you're not sure how it's compensating for that excess size, right? You don't know what it's doing, and we're saying that effectively it's not compensating enough for that size of parcel. This is 2 million, nearly 2 million square feet. That's a large parcel of land.
You know, no, and but what was I guess let me ask you this question then. One more question. What is the average sale price per square foot where subject property is? You have comparables for that. I have comparables for that. You can use your
It's
comparables.
not really
within it.
relevant though, Miss Arca. That's not really relevant because we don't have any parcels this size.
But you,
So we have parcels that are in the 3
no,
to
that
acre
but
range.
I asked you what was the price per square foot, like whether it's like what was it? You have it, right? Like of the prices per square foot within the subject area. That's what I guess that's what.
There's nothing close to it because there's nothing close to it in size.
But from what we have, what is the price per square foot?
From the average of the comparables.
Yes.
I mean, I don't have a calculator on me, so if you want to do that.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you, what is the price per square foot on comparable number 3?
Comparable number 3 on my list.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is a 1 acre parcel at $3.56.
Okay. What is the price per square foot on comparable number 5?
And that is about I'm gonna guess about a 6 acre parcel, around $3.43 per square
Okay.
foot.
And same question for comparable number 6.
And that is again, something around 6 acres, $3.70 per square foot.
And we've already discussed other comparables that are also around $3. Even the school one, the comparable for the school is wasn't the comparable for the school, which is 24 acres, was sale price was $2.46 per square foot. Would you agree with me on that?
That is the price per square foot. Whether
Yeah.
it's correct, I don't know. Again,
Okay.
I just
Okay.
read it there.
Okay, and none of those have been time adjusted that we have discussed so far. And so wouldn't you agree that $2.05 per square foot is reflective of the size, given
No.
the other sales in the area?
No, I disagree with you.
Yeah.
You're using comparisons that are completely different in terms of size.
They're all
And one of the
very-
comparisons that you talked about is, again, we've stated that this is a sale that was motivated. So that's my reason for actually including sales that are this large, to show exactly how much the value drops off. As we get this.
But they're in a different area, correct?
I don't think that's really important. I think at this size
Are
of
they
parcel,
but they're in a different area, correct?
of course, yes, they are in a different area, but again, they are similar in size, and none of the other comparisons are of similar size.
No, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt, any questions for the applicant?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Kraus, any questions for the applicant?
No questions, thank you.
On this list that you have here, there's nothing that compares to this size, is that correct?
Well, we have three that compare in size. 10, 11, and 12.
10, 11, and 12 do?
Yeah.
Okay, and those are 46 cents, 47 cents, 71 cents respectively.
Yeah. That's why we set it at $1.25 as opposed to 71 cents.
So that's how you derive your 125 then.
Yeah, these are older sales, so we did adjust it somewhat.
Okay, no further questions. Now, did you want to go to your rebuttal now at all?
I just want the chair to accept the rebuttal that we used for the other ones and just say that we were trying to highlight the point of.
I have to get some kind of a
Show
reference from you and a brief summary.
Okay, so that, to summarize what the rebuttal was saying is that the properties that we were looking at today and the properties that were included in the assessor's sales comparables are many of them are actually Southeast Lands Corp, which is Qualico. So we have Qualico playing a big part in assembling these parcels together. And in assembling these parcels together, they are paying a premium to each one of these owners to purchase these properties. Had these properties sold on their own, we don't believe that they would have sold for those prices. So it is that active assemblage that's actually increasing the prices. And that's actually based on the text that we included in the rebuttal as well regarding tracts of land that are used for assemblage purposes.
Any questions from anybody on the rebuttal? No, no questions.
No questions.
Okay, so that and summation, Mr. Tedder?
Yeah, again, like a quick summation that the subject property is located within the Waverly West B neighborhood. There is the development, heavy development has been going on in that area for quite some time. Bridgewater development has been going on there, south of it, and other areas. So it's a prime location, as have been pointed out. Assemblage is going on and premium is being paid, and we have to keep that in mind. I believe so. Like premium is being paid for the parcels in the area, so the price does go up. It has been confirmed by the applicant, and I would agree with that. So had the subject property sold on April 1st, 2023, I believe it would have definitely got $2.05 per square foot price, and therefore I ask the panel to support $3,955,000 as assessment for the subject property. It's further supported by the sales in the area, and that's where I guess I want to drive my point. Like, gotta stay in the area and see what the prices are in the area. It's a prime area. Location. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, any summation?
Yeah, in terms of the assessor's comparisons for this property, while they are in the area, they're not comparable in terms of size. So it would have required some type of adjustment. We've applied an adjustment to this property based on our own analysis. The assessor wasn't able to explain adequately how the model does this, and we do not feel that the model is adjusting this value properly. So we've suggested a lower value. Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes this file. And I believe that concludes all of your files, Mr. Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Yeah, have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So break it up and then.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. So we're still on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to address item number 3. Which the applicant is not present. So we are going to go into in-camera session then to decide whether we want to hear this in absence. Okay, we are back. The board panel has agreed to hear item number 3, 1215 Community Road in absence of the applicant. Mr. Assessor, you may begin your presentation.
So file number 241140, roll number 01003786 address is 1215 Community Row. It's a property located in Wilkes South neighborhood, zoned agricultural, lot size 198,871 square feet. Land influences external corner, heavy traffic, no sewer, no water, rail line and restrictions. Assessment for 2025 is $207,000 or $1.04 per square foot. The 4 comparables presented shows they're all located in the Community Row street. Lot sizes are very similar to subject. Some of them are 3 of them are smaller, one is larger, which is comparable number 1. And to quickly address why comparable number 1 seems larger and however sold for less money. If you look at the map, you can see it's a regular shape, so less desirable than the other 3 comparables. The other 3 comparables all have sold for the time adjusted sale price per square foot starting at $1.16 to $1.38. So the assessed value appears to be supported, and I ask the panel to confirm the assessment. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. Desmond?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Kraus?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. So that will conclude item number 3. And I believe that concludes all of the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.